walk alone. Tongue was like a battle zone. But nowadays...
Welcome back inside the Now Morning Show. It's Monday, so the TTPS joins us on now in the form of Inspector Michelle Lewis. Good morning to you, Inspector.
Good morning to both of you. It's a beautiful Monday morning.
Happy Monday morning to you too. How are you?
Thank you. I am good. Very good.
Enjoyed the long weekend?
I enjoyed it very much.
Nice one.
I worked and it was well enjoyed.
Glad to hear that. It's always nice when you enjoy what you do.
Yes, I do. I do.
So tell us what's on the agenda for today, Inspector.
Well, last week we touched on road safety, looking at the rainy season coming in. And of course, the hurricane season is now upon us from yesterday. And so we're going to touch a little bit on that, but really looking at young people and young drivers. And then, of course, we know with young drivers, some of them still in school, some of them preparing for exam. And that level of wanting to free up after exams and even before. Yeah, so this morning, this is where the TTPS is looking to share some information to the public.
Okay.
Yeah. Now, we know that persons can get the driver's permit from the age of 17. And yes, pretty much still a teenager. You have some years again to go. And in some cases, you're still in school, you know, and as a young person going to school, driving to school, that's really a big deal.
It is.
Yeah. You know, sometimes you'll pick up your friend and that kind of thing. But what we want to remind parents and young drivers this morning is that though you would have your driver's permit legally and you can drive on the roadway, we want you also to practice safety, to be a courteous driver, to be sober-minded always, and of course, to ensure that the vehicle that you are driving is roadworthy all the time.
Right.
Now, as a young driver, you may not know everything in relation to a motor vehicle because, you know, start and, you know, especially not stereotyping, but particularly the girls, you know, the boys more techie, more dig up in a vehicle. You know, girls might quicker, you know, a few girls will do it, but more the boys, you know, because they just like those kind of stuff.
Girls just get in and go.
Most times.
Sometimes they might put gas.
Most times. What's this like? Let's be real. So we really want the young drivers to pay attention to what is required of them, though they have their driver's permit, the responsibility that is given to them in being on the roads. What we don't want, we have seen an increase in road fatalities, not particularly between young persons as drivers, but certainly we don't want them to be part of the statistics. So this morning we want to remind young people and for parents and guardians and those with responsibility for young persons to reinforce that level of responsibility that is required. Even as you, because if you're 17, you're probably doing exams, either A's or CAPE or one of those, right? And you may just want to relax at night, go out at night, after your exams have finished, take up your friends and go somewhere. You have quite a couple persons in the vehicles whose lives you're responsible for. And you're going to that party or that event and you may want to drink something that has some level of alcohol in it. Please be wise. And as I would repeat, be sober-minded, because the lives that you have with you could determine how you look at future and how you look at yourself in the future. Because if anything happens to them, you know, your whole perspective on things really, really change. So as a young driver and as a young person, when you do go to socialize, encourage the other peers, the other persons, not to engage in any form of substance intake that will
impair their
judgment. So we're looking at not just alcohol, but there are also a lot of drugs that are on the market in parties that are available. And though we have the decriminalizing of marijuana or cannabis, it can still be an addictive herb, let me put it like that. Yeah, it can still be addictive, and there are other types of marijuana as well that are more addictive than some because of experiment and scientific additions to it.
You know, Inspector, I'm hearing you with all this, and of course seconding when it comes to speaking about the use of noxious substances when you're driving. But one of the things also, interestingly enough, as we come up to, we're approaching post-examination season, is the fact that, yes, we have young drivers, and we also have young drivers who may be very tired
Yes.
So what advice when it comes to not just the young drivers, but the parents? Because we're always taught about road safety, but we're not necessarily taught about operating a vehicle when we are borderline exhausted.
So you're not supposed to.
You're not supposed to.
Because
but
is it the equivalent of being drunk? Like when you're tired over a certain amount of time,
Well,
is the equivalent of being
your
drunk?
judgment is certainly impaired as if you have drunk, right? Alcohol. So parents and those with responsibility for children, even though you have given them a vehicle to use, whether they own it because you give it to them as a gift or you allow them to use your vehicle, right? Remember that they are still young. And you as a parent haven't negated your responsibility to pick up that child or to drop that young person to somewhere for safety reasons. So if you know that the child would have studied all night and know the child wants to go to a party on Lime, you can get behind the steering wheel as a responsible parent and drop the children there or the young people there and then come back for them. That will ensure that their lives are saved and that they have a good time. So once they are tired, and talk to them, because sometimes, they may want to say, no, I'm not tired, I can go out. But you must know your children and those around you, young people, so that you offer. You say, well, I'll drop you now. I was already going down by my friend. In any case, I'll just take you down and, there's no worries. I'll just line by hand and come back for you when you're ready. And stuff like that, just to make sure that they don't feel bad, that you don't think that they are not capable of, because they don't want them to, get on the defense side, but you really want to encourage them to do what is right. So you really have to use some tact, because at that age, they tend to want to be, show that, I can handle my stories.
Independent.
Correct. So if the young person is tired, then nothing is wrong with that. Extend yourself to take the child, to take the young person. So I'll use the words young person as opposed to child, though they're still a child.
It's still
a child.
Right, and you can also if it is that they're going by someone's home that you trust, they can take a nap there before they actually go out to the other place that they really intend to go to.
I want to go back to one of the things you mentioned just now in terms of the drug-related activities at events, right? Sometimes people might go out and there's also the risk of what they call the date rape drugs, right? So you might say to yourself, all right, I know I'm the driver tonight, so I'm not going to drink. I'm going to drink soft drink or going to drink juice for the night, and then all of a sudden you start feeling shaky, you want to know what's going on without realizing that when you thought somebody brought a juice for you, it really had something else in it. How do we protect our young people from ending up in situations like that?
Go to the bar and buy your drinks for yourself. Ensure that you see when the bartender or the mixer, whoever by the bar, pour in the drink, if they're pouring it in a cup or in a glass. If it is a bottle, and you can walk with the person. So if it is someone, it has to be someone that you really trust. And the person that you trust, that conversation among the group of persons must be there. So if this person is going to the bar to get the drinks, let this person know, pay attention to the drinks that you're going to bring back for us, right? Because we trust you. And that level of trust and responsibility among the peers must be there to ensure that Molly or ecstasy or one of those drugs isn't placed in that drink, and then that person now becomes a victim of not just date rape, but it can lead to other things as well. Yeah, it can lead to your vehicle being stolen. The person could entice you because your senses and everything are now lowered.
Is there a way for us to be able to see, maybe if you receive a drink and you might have trusted the person, but in their haste in coming back, I don't know, somebody slipped something in it when they are all not looking. Is there a way for us to check and see, is this safe? Should we be looking for certain things?
Well, there are places that have cameras inside, right?
Right.
But apart from that, if the person would have taken the drug already, then their behavior would change, right? So as a friend to that person, you would start to observe that their level of attention changes. They become more relaxed, more sleepy. Their conversations become more
incoherent.
Incoherent. I was going to use the word careless, but incoherent is the word. And so you as your friend now would start to recognize that something is wrong. And so you wouldn't allow that friend of yours to go with someone that the person, so for example, someone comes up in the party and starts to talk with you, knowing very well that they would have put something into your drink, right? So you might be saying, hey, you know, your friend pick up, right? But truth and you might be encouraging the pickup. But truth and in fact, the person really has an ill intent towards your friend. So when you recognize that your friend behaviors like that, then you have to get in between and say, girl or boy or friend, let's go, you know?
Let's go.
Let's go. So it really depends on that conversation that persons are having with young people. And I know even though we're having this program this morning at this hour, it will be shown again tonight, but we also want persons who hear in the program this morning
to share the
information. Right? Because we really, really need to protect and preserve our young people, and in so doing, information like this helps.
It definitely does. Well, Inspector, thank you so much for joining us this morning.
And
unfortunately, we do know that these conversations will have to continue, but we appreciate the fact that you're here with us.
Yes, right. My pleasure.
This is the Now Morning Show. Stay tuned. Your birthdays are coming up right after this break.
All around, especially in town, no one could